We got a new package from our friends over at Intel today. This thing is substantial for something that's supposed to be a really small, like, inside package. It's kind of weird. We need a knife. Let's get into it. Seriously? Okay, close enough. I will say, whatever you think about Intel overall, their press kits are usually pretty insane. This is over the top as always. Okay then. So today we're checking out Intel's latest NUC. Intel NUCs are basically their tiniest form factor PCs that really kind of flex the capabilities of their processors for, you know, doing most of the work that you need, and historically have been really tiny PCs. And it's something that I've never gotten the chance to look at on this channel, but I have always kind of wanted to, because as much as I love my giant tower cases and the like, having something that's more manageable is very appealing to a lot of people. So specifically we are looking at here their new Dragon Canyon NUC, which is based on the 12th gen architecture, and this thing is already looking stellar. Despite the fact that the point of this product line is to be basically the smallest form factor PC possible, the NUCs have gotten kind of bigger over the years, which is kind of interesting. This box is just, it's too nice for something that realistically I have literally no use for after opening this. And here we have the Dragon Canyon NUC. This thing is a tiny little PC. It looks like an external Thunderbolt enclosure. And this is the entirety of the PC. And the entire thing, like first impressions, the entire thing is mesh basically. You've got ventilation here, you've got ventilation on the side. I guess the front technically isn't. Ventilation on that side. Obviously all the pass-through on the back there, and I guess not on the back. This is pretty cool. So I guess we should pop it open. We got something to do with this one. So these new Dragon Canyon NUCs are based on Intel's 12th gen architecture, and this specific one sports up to, not my correct screwdriver size. Specs wise, we're looking at an Intel Core i9 12900 or 12700 CPU, which are their, you know, top of the line i7 and i9 CPUs. They are both running at 65 watts of base power. However, it looks like they do have a couple different SKUs with this. It supports up to 64 gigs of dual channel memory. It has 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, PCIe Gen 5 for graphics cards, which has no use, but it supports it. It's got a ton of NVMe slots, 10 gigabit networking, as well as Wi-Fi 6. So this thing is a little beast here. Let's try to get this side panel off. I'm very curious to see what's inside. I think the whole back just kind of slides off. It's a very interesting form factor here. Okay, that loosens. And then the side panel slides. Well, I'm not finding that anytime soon. There we go. All right, so it was getting blocked by the PCIe bracket. So then the side panel slides off and we can get a look at the inside, and there's the branding. Oh my. Look how compact this is. We've got an arrangement of 3 fans in the top here. We've got the CPU cooler, which still has the typical NUC logo on board here, which is like a shroud covering the rear I/O. And then we have the tiny little SFX power supply right in the front, actually. This is so compact, you can't even see the motherboard under everything. but it's pretty sick. And then you got your PCIe Gen 5 X15 slot on here. You've got onboard HDMI for the integrated graphics, of course, which we will be checking out. You got dual Thunderbolt 4. You got 6 10 gigabit USB 3.0. You've got 10 gig and 2.5 gig Ethernet, and then you have HDMI, presumably 2.1, I would hope, on board as well. I already said that. And then it says it supports Wi-Fi 6. The antenna slots on the I/O plate are currently blank. Interesting. So again, this does support a proper graphics card, like an actual, dual slot graphics card. The only issue you're gonna run into is sizing. So we do have one here. I just wanted to test. Now this is probably underpowered. I'm not sure exactly what spec we actually received. Yeah, I don't actually have a clue which model we received in terms of i7 or i9, but regardless, the GPU I chose is actually a bottleneck if you wanted to use it for gaming. I have here, thanks to a purchase from a lovely subscriber, a blower style 1660. And that will 100% fit in here. Just has the single 8-pin power connector. So we can take off these PCIe brackets and get that installed. Because, while obviously this would be a badass little gaming PC if that's what you're into, I think the potential for this has... Hello, other side. Okay, we have the i9 model. So we have the i9 12900. And that is what the other side looks like, with the power supply intake here and the back of the motherboard, which is also, again, completely sealed up. Oh, I see what's going on here. It's got this little protector bracket over top the PCIe slots. I'm honestly not a huge fan of this design, like overall, not specifically to the NUC, but like computer cases that block off these ports in general, because I don't feel like it adds anything. It just makes it weirdly difficult to get to the PCIe slots. Like, I guess if you're locking it down in like an education or like public use environment and you don't want people stealing your graphics cards or something, maybe, but there we go. But yeah, while this would obviously be a badass little home theater PC or gaming PC, I see a lot of potential as a little streaming PC here. So we are going to be testing in our full coverage on the main channel. We are going to be testing basically using the integrated graphics as a streaming PC, as well as obviously using the 1660 here as an encoder, because you do have 10 gigabit networking. You can load it up. Ah, the 8-pin power connector, the main one, is right angled for cards specifically like this. What a pro move. Just slap that right in there. It's a little tightly cable managed, so we'll have to loosen it up a little bit, but it's got an adjustable zip tie. Oh my goodness. They thought of so many details here. Obviously we don't need the second cable at all. Okay, getting it to actually fit in here to slot in is a little tight, but it should fit once the brackets are in. Oh, this is gonna be so close. The tolerances on this are insane. Like literally just like a millimeter off the top of the board would fix this. And this is a small card. Because it would fit in the slot. Like there's no question in my mind that it will fit in the slot, but getting it into the slot is the problem. I didn't know they made cards shorter than this, honestly. Like, it might be a little taller due to being a blower style, but I don't know. All right, I'm gonna save you the complete secondhand embarrassment of watching me try to shove this GPU into this case in a way that it wasn't meant to be. Unless you want that, that's on the Nebula extended cut of this video. I'm gonna show you how you're actually supposed to take it apart. So after we got the sides and the back off, you literally just lift up, push up on this top panel. Well, yeah. And this whole fan bracket just lifts up like it's a big radiator part or something. And you can totally just slide in the GPU right there, fit the power connector, all of that. So I wasted all of that effort for nothing. And now I have to take the GPU back out. But this also gets us access to the cooling, the RAM slots, so we can install our memory, all of that. So behind the beefy cooler here is the motherboard with everything actually on it. And so we got 2 screws at the top that we just undo. assuming we have a screwdriver that fits it. I love that all of the screws on this are pretty much all captive and spring-loaded sometimes and all sorts of stuff. So now I believe this just folds forward. Oh wait, this fan bracket is actually a PCIe mounted thing. Hold up. Oh, the whole thing is, yeah, okay. So the main CPU and where the memory goes and everything is slotted in, I guess, a daughter board. You have two different motherboards going on here. One is along the back plane and one of it's along the bottom. The bottom one takes some of the power, the back one takes some of the power, but the back one slots into the bottom one using a PCIe slot. We've got a tiny little PCIe thing going on here. So you can use that as well, which is pretty wild. So this little fan shroud is just mounted like a PCIe device, and then the whole cooler just kind of folds off here. And you can see the CPU plate, which runs to the fins. All of this kind of directs the airflow. You've got a Gen 4 NVMe right here. That says 1.2 volts DDR4 in an M.2 slot. I'm not quite sure, but then we have access to our dual SODIMM slots here. I've got 32, reading is hard, 32 gigs of 3200 memory that I picked up here, which should be fine for this. It's the ugly green stuff, but it's literally going where you could not possibly see it in use. So that doesn't matter. Slot those bad boys right in here. And we do need an SSD. All right, I had to really go hunting through the studio to actually find an NVMe SSD. We are basically completely out of them here. But we have the whole system open. We got one of our slots. We're just gonna smack it right in the middle here. As soon as I find the screwdriver I just had. What the hell? Okay. And it's already got thermal pads on the cooler part for the NVMe drive, so they stay adequately cool. It's got little slots to fit the RAM in. I really think they thought of everything here. Even the CMOS battery, I don't know if you can see this. The CMOS battery has been extracted from the motherboard and moved to its own little pouch here, so it's easier to replace or swap as needed. Now it's still kind of wired in, kind of funky, but they have made it user serviceable, which is wild for this kind of thing. All right, we're gonna get this sealed back up and get some performance numbers when it comes to streaming and content creation. You can check that out over on the main channel, youtube.com/EposVox. Appreciate you hanging out with us for this unboxing. If you have any questions about it, of course, join us on Discord, discord.gg/EposVox. And if you want to see me completely embarrass myself for probably about 20 extra minutes of content here, you can check out the extended version over on Nebula. Nebula is my own streaming site. If I can slot this in here. Okay, there we go. Haha. Nebula is my own streaming site I built with my creator friends. My videos are higher quality there, ad-free, and often extended from the YouTube versions, just like this one. Lots of extra content, behind the scenes stuff, entire secondary videos. I forgot to put the little slot cooler back in. I am an idiot. And we've bundled up with a service called CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream has a library of thousands of documentary and just awesome titles to watch if you like this kind of nerdy stuff. And they have partnered with us, offering a bundle of 26% off their annual plan just for us bundled Nebula subscribers. And that makes it under $15 per year to get access to all of CuriosityStream's content, lots of David Attenborough stuff over there, as well as Nebula, and all of us awesome creators over there as well. So check that out, curiositystream.com/epos, get the rest of this video. Otherwise, we gonna get our benchmark on. Remember, be kind, rewind. This thing is so tiny. It's been like 2 days since I originally started this, so like, I'm still just so shocked at how tiny it is. And it's got Thunderbolt 4. And a whole freaking 1060 in it. 1660, not 1060. What? Ugh.